And so imagine if instead of you grow 2 pounds of muscle across your entire body, imagine if those 2 pounds were literally just put on your side delts.
Yes.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Grass.
This is a brain rot special.
Natties cooking in the basement.
How natties grow, struggling to gain muscle as a natty. Ask the expert. This expert is Jeremy Ethie. I guess he has an exercise kinesiology degree. I think he has his master's, so he is somewhat of an expert, but oftentimes he makes mistakes. He oftentimes says things wrong, and so I'm betting he's going to do that in this video. I'm going to react to this video, and I'm going to try to teach the natties how to actually grow, like the right way without making mistakes. I mean, half the things he says about cardio are wrong, lifting weights is wrong, and so let's just make sure he's not wrong, and hopefully you learn from it. And we're going to see what Mike Israel thinks. Does he agree with Jeremy?
Imagine if instead of you grow 2 pounds of muscle across your entire body, imagine if those 2 pounds were literally just put on your side delts.
Yes. No! This is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. Well, that happens every day. This is about a pound each. If I put a pound of muscle on my delts, I'm gonna be huge. 1 pound on each side. They just said, oh, you're at the level where you can only put on about 2 or 3 pounds of muscle per year. And so, you know, you're more advanced lifting, you're not in your newbie gains. And so rather than trying to spread it out over your entire body, why not just put it exactly where you want? You want delts, you put it there. Oh, you want bigger arms? Let's just focus on putting all the muscle on our arms. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. Let's watch more of the video. This is the intro. They got the intro wrong. I mean, is this to rage bait? You put an intro where everyone knows it's stupid, and so people watch and comment for the video. Jeremy writes 3 things he learned from this video. And so the only thing that I think he learned is about, it says, his Lamborghini collection is unreal. I do think that we should find out what type of Lamborghini was it. Was it a Urus? Was it a Huracan? What type of Lamborghini was it? And how many are in his collection?
The name of the game there is just consistency, right? After a year of doing that, just simply showing up, you can make pretty good newbie gains, right?
What is holding you back exactly? Well, in the beginner stage, when you first join the gym, all it is showing up. I mean, I have to agree. If you show up and you consistently lift weights, even if you do everything wrong, even if you're not going to failure, you're just simply going to the gym and training, you're probably going to put on some muscle.
But in order to get the next phase of growth, you can't just continue doing what you were doing. Now you actually have to create a system for tracking your progression.
No, I don't agree with this. Just because you've been training for 6 months doesn't mean you need a system and you have to track everything you're doing in order to make gains. You could very well continue to go to the gym, and all you need to do is train hard. If you go to the gym and you go and do some work, you train hard, without writing anything down, without tracking a single thing, you will continue to make gains. And so I don't care if it's the first 6 months or the first 6 years, consistency is what matters. If you just say, I'm going to take 3 months off, I'm not going to go to the gym, or I'm not working out this week, next week maybe, you're not making gains. But you don't need a systematic plan to track everything. I know, of course, they're trying to sell tracking programs, apps, and so on, but you can still make gains without getting it. It would be like saying, you know, the first couple months, very easy to lose weight. You don't have to track anything, but after 2 months, you can't lose weight unless you buy an app. And unfortunately, this video isn't sponsored by an app. I don't need to do that, but do you get it? Do you really need an app to track your calories in order to lose weight, or you just eat a bit less? And so if you go to the gym and you train consistently and you put a bit of effort in, then of course you're going to continue to make gains. Now, personally, I still think it's too early to bother with Turk Builder Max, Turk Platinum. These items are very, very strong. You don't need it as a beginner when you first start training in the gym. Wait until you're hitting a plateau. At that point, that's when you need to start being more creative. Perhaps at that point, you can start tracking and making sure you're progressive overloading, or that is to train harder than last time. But until you hit a plateau, just show up to the gym and train.
You get so frustrated that things are slowing down, and it's like, I'm not making any more gains. So what do? I did, 70 pounds presses last week. I have to do 75 pounds this week.
And so I have to agree with Jeremy here. After 3 to 6 years, people are thinking they're going to still make the same gains that they were once doing. It doesn't work like that. You can't get stronger every single workout. Even with performance enhancing drugs, this is not going to be the case. And so rather than thinking every single time you go to the gym, you have to add 5 pounds to the bar, you have to get an extra rep, just go and train hard. It's frustrating for me because all you need to do is go to the gym and push yourself. Like, once you've been training hard, you just push yourself. Do you really think that every time I go to the gym, I've been training for 40 years, that I put on a weight that I did last time and I'm thinking, okay, I need to get in a half a rep extra, I need to pause 1 second longer, I need to progress like that. I put a weight on and I go train my freaking ass off every single time. If I couldn't do as well the week before, perhaps I'm tired, whatever, I just give it my best shot. If you give it your best shot and you really work yourself in the gym, you are going to make progression for 10 plus years.
Maybe they're going, an inch or two less deep than they were before.
Yep.
So on paper, they're making progress, but in reality, are they actually challenging their muscles anymore?
And so he's saying, stop with the thinking you need to go up 5 pounds. Stop thinking you're going to add an extra rep. I mean, if you went up a rep a week, that would be 52 reps in a year. No one is improving 52 reps in a year. Imagine you're doing 200 pounds for 10 reps, and within a year, you're doing 200 pounds for 62 reps. No one's improving at that rate. I don't even care if you're using steroids. And so expect to be underwhelmed. Go to the gym knowing it's about pushing yourself and not about seeing visual changes in the gym each and every week. And this happens all the time. I'm getting messages from clients saying, how many weeks before I notice a huge increase in size and strength? And I'm like, you've been training for almost 10 years. You expect a huge, noticeable change in size and strength. It's not going to happen. And so go to the gym, push yourself, and be patient. Most people, once the gains slow down, they kind of just quit the gym. They don't push themselves as hard. They're thinking, well, why bother pushing hard? I haven't gotten stronger for 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks.
Natural bodybuilding, you usually peak later on.
In your 40s.
In your 40s, exactly.
Disagree again. Natural bodybuilders are not going to peak in their 40s. I'm sorry. I was a natural bodybuilder. I was natural for perhaps longer than 99.9% of people who ever use performance enhancing drugs. I started taking steroids in my 30s. I started training at 10. I was at my natural limit at approximately 30. If you look at most bodybuilders who are natural, you're not going to see them continue to grow into their 40s or perhaps 40. It's going to be much sooner than that. And so I'm just telling you what you need to know. I believe that for most people, max 35. If you've been training for 10, 15 years, and unless you've been doing everything wrong, you're likely not going to continue to grow when you're 35 plus. Doesn't mean you shouldn't train, doesn't mean you shouldn't try, but don't expect it.
One of the biggest mistakes that intermediates make, which I also made back in the day,
Same, probably.
The mistake Jeremy made was burning out. Remember that? When he posted he was up to 20+% body fat, he was pushing too hard, he had to take time away from the gym. That's a mistake. You need to have a realistic body image and main gain from there. People are bulking and cutting. That is a mistake. Rather than that, you should be at a healthy weight and continue to train. Whatever that is. If it's 15%, do it there. If it's 20, do it at 20. But going from 20+% to single digit body fat, back and forth, that is going to slow your gains.
You can only put on 1 to 3 pounds of muscle per year. If you distribute that across your whole body, that's not like a whole lot of change compared to the early years, right?
Yeah, you're right. 3 pounds of muscle on your whole entire body spread out, it's not like super crazy. I mean, it's slightly noticeable. Some people would see it, but not everyone. But it is, of course, worth doing. Remember, 2 to 3 pounds of muscle for 5 years is 10 to 15. 10 to 15 pounds of muscle is a lot. You're absolutely going to notice that. And so it's the consistency over the years that pays off. Okay, so far, this makes sense. Remember, the intro, he's going to screw it up real soon.
And so imagine if instead of you grow 2 pounds of muscle across your entire body, imagine if those 2 pounds were literally just put on your side delts.
Yes.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Grass.
He is from Canada. It's a disgrace. I thought Canada was a good country. Since the last few years, I've realized that it's not. Healthcare and so on. We do have Chris Bumstead. We have Will Tennyson, but we also have Jeremy Etier. You have to understand he has the same degree as me, and I have pride in my degree. You know, I respect people who are educated in what I've studied, to have the same passion for health and fitness as me. But when they outright lie and say stupid shit like this, it bothers me. Now, maybe it shouldn't bother me. I should just turn a blind eye, but I was also an educator. I was a school teacher in school. This guy could be a school teacher. Imagine. He's saying, you know, when you're early on in your years, you can put on a lot of muscle, but then it slows down. Now, you can put on 2 or 3 pounds of muscle a year. That's the stage that he's at because he's been training for more than 6 years. And so it's unlikely he's going to put on 10 pounds of muscle in a year. You can put on 2 or 3 pounds of muscle. For Jeremy, it's probably 2. So here's a hack. Rather than training all your body parts to spread out the muscle throughout your body, those 2 pounds, just focus on the muscle areas that you want to grow. So for example, if you don't care about your legs and you only want to look good in tank top, just train shoulders, arms, and chest and put all those muscles there, but specifically said just the delts. You know, why waste some of those 2 pounds putting it on your back or your calves or whatever when you could just put it all on your delts? A pound of muscle, this is what it would be. Spread that over here. It doesn't work like that. You can't just snap your fingers and train a single body part and say, all those 2 pounds, I want you to go right there. I don't want you to spread out. I want it all right here. Is that understandable? Like, I feel like a grade primary kid would understand that, but am I explaining it enough so that you get it? And so if you compete in men's physique and you really don't need quads, like, you can't just double the gains of your upper body, but just training your upper body. Oh, you know what? I'm in men's physique. Here's the hack. I'm hired Jeremy. Hey, I can only put on perhaps 5 pounds of muscle. Rather than training my whole body and putting 2.5 on the top and 2.5 on the bottom this year, I'm just going to focus solely on the upper body, put on 5 upper body, because I'm going to be having my legs covered in board shorts. It don't work like that. There's no correlation there whatsoever. You can't just stop training certain body parts and have the other ones get twice as huge. Do you understand this? Do people get that? Do you now understand why Jeremy frustrates me to this extent?
That could make an incredible change.
Huge visual impact.
Exactly, right?
The only way you're going to put 2 pounds of muscle on your delts is if you're injecting hyaluronic acid in massive quantities, and it's not going to be muscle, it's going to be water technically inside of the muscle that you've injected from hyaluronic acid, sucking in the moisture and putting it into your muscle. And so you have swollen, round muscles. You see it in bodybuilders. They do this and they don't see any of the striations. You see it all the time. Guys who are injecting the muscles. You guys probably know synthol. Well, hyaluronic acid, it's similar to that. And so the only way you're going to grow those kind of muscles is through injections.
Why don't I focus my volume on the areas that are going to transform my physique the most and make the biggest visual difference?
In a partial, small way, this part is correct. If I want to make the greatest visual impact, why not focus on the body parts that I want to work out the most? So for example, if you work out your delts and they get wider, it's going to make your waist look smaller and you'll have a more impressive V-taper. So look at Hussein Farhat, for example, the wide shoulders, the big arms, the massive chest. He looks huge in a tank top. And so that is partially correct. But do you really think that Hussein looks bigger because he doesn't train his legs as much as his upper body? I mean, if Hussein only trained his upper body, do you think it's going to have double the muscle than if he trains his entire body? It doesn't work like that. You can train your entire body and make all of the muscles grow. You don't just have to say, you know what? I only really need these areas to improve. That would make the most difference. So I'm only going to train those. No, train everything. Train them all. Make them all get bigger. So you know those 3 pounds of muscle that you can grow in a year? If you only train your delts, you're going to gain 0.2 pounds total for the entire year in your delts. Why not just spread it out and train your entire body and gain all 3 of those pounds? And it will be spread out, but so what? Now, if certain body parts are too big, so for example, you're a woman and you've got friggin' jacked arms and you're competing in women's wellness, well, they want you to have a big ass and big legs. They don't really want you to have big arms. And so don't train your upper body and only train your legs. That makes sense. But by doing that, your legs are not going to double in size. They're going to get bigger at the same rate as if you trained your arms, but your arms are not going to get bigger. Does that make sense?
And so over the years, I was like, okay, I can only recover from so much volume.
So much
throughout the week.
total training.
Exactly, so much total training. So I'm going to lower it a little bit for the arms that don't need as much work as the rest of my muscles.
How many people think that that makes sense? Jeremy, you know, he has such an impressive physique. He's, I think, 6 feet tall and 170 pounds. He says, my arms grow so easy. So I just stopped training my arms as much because, like, why would I need to have big arms? Jeremy, your arms aren't big. They're decent, but they're not huge. They're not to the point where, oh, wow, he must be a fake natty because look at his arms. If anything, train your arms even more. I mean, that is your show muscle. Every single video I see you, you're wearing a blue tank top. The muscles you want to have the biggest to make you look impressive are delts and arms. Of all the muscles, that is the only one I've ever seen. When do you all see Jeremy training his legs? Has anyone ever seen Jeremy's quads? Does he have them? Does he have hamstring calves? I don't see them. And so, does it make sense to stop training a show muscle? Who doesn't want to have bigger arms? This is what you see almost the most. Arms, shoulders, and chest. So, of course, you're going to train that. You don't slow down on training the most important muscles.
We took care of volume.
So, we sure did take care of volume. We said everything he said essentially is wrong. I couldn't believe it.
Frequency. Huge debate in the natty space. I've been training, let's say, twice a week. Whole body.
Yep, that's what I've been doing. Whole body twice a week. That's what I do. Now, they're saying as a beginner, that's what you're doing. That would absolutely work. Personally, when I coach people and they're beginners, I try to tell them to train their entire bodies 2 or 3 times a week. I think it's the most simplest, it's the most effective. And I think that's what people should start at. If you start doing a bro split on day 1, having to train 7 days a week, sometimes it's too much. If it's 2 or 3 times a week, most people can commit to that. You're going to get consistent gains. You're going to be able to rest a day between each and every workout, sometimes even 2 days. And so I think that that's going to give you the gains. You don't have to push yourself so hard. And so when you train less frequency, for example, so let's say you do your chest once a week, you're going to have to do a lot of chest on that one single day, and you're probably going to get very sore. If you spread it out over 3 different sessions, you don't have to do too much. And so, for example, imagine this. You're just doing 1 or 2 sets of chest 3 times a week. That equals to 3 to 6 sets a week. For a beginner, that's more than enough. That's all you need to do.
You get a decent jump in gains. Seems to be about 30% jump in gains going from 1 time per week to 2 times per week.
And so he understands the law of diminished returns when it comes to this, but he didn't understand it when it comes to training volume. You go from training once a week to twice a week, you see about a 30% improvement in size. So rather than gaining 10 pounds the first year by training 1 day a week, you might gain 13 pounds the first year by training twice a week. I think that most people can wrap our heads around that. It makes sense. You know, training twice a week is better than 1. And so if you train 3 times a week, you're not going to see a 16-pound change. You might see 14. It might also be 13. It depends on your body and individual difference, how you like to train, how you like to manage your recovery, and so on.